Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and today we are doing the 10th video. Woohoo! 10th video of my Power Apps Hidden Gem series. It is amazing that I've already gone through 10, and that's just the beginning because I'm sure I'll be doing more of these. So in today's video, I'll be focusing on 5 features over there, my hidden gems. And some of these may not be new, but I want to focus on those little bit of extra things which you may not have used of those. So first one is going to be the now function. Now in the now function, there's a lot of goodies with it, but there's this one thing which I was actually asked for in social media, and I said, you know what, I'm going to focus it on my hidden gems video, and it's about now. So that's one over there. We're going to talk about transparency, and transparency really comes in handy when you want to use your company images, such as your company logo, and then how you can put that as a background in your apps over there. Second is the confirm exit. What confirm exit we're going to look at is when an app is exiting or you're closing it, it does that, recheck just to make sure that you do need to close your app. We're going to focus on the confirm exit over there. Now, and the timer control. Now, the timer control, again, is not something new, but I'm going to be talking about how you can use the timer control as that intro of the apps, where when the app is opened up, it'll show you something like a screen over there, and it waits over there for a few seconds and then automatically transfers to another screen. That's what I'll be focusing on, the timer control. And then finally, the sine and cosine. So sine and cosines are trigonometric functions, and they truly are hidden gems because we don't really use it much unless you're doing a lot of accounting calculations. But I'm going to show you some fun things that you can do with that. So these are the 5 things that I'm going to focus on this video. Hopefully, it'll help you. And as always, enough with the talking. Let's jump into the demo. Okay, so let me get out from here. Let me go into our Power Apps. And I'm going to, in Power Apps, create a new app. It's going to be a Canvas app. And in the Canvas app, I will go with a tablet layout for now. And once this opens up, first thing we do, name the app, give it a name, save it, and then what I'll do is I'll create different screens for each of those 5 ones. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to say Hidden Gems Series 10. Always I like to do a different color, just add some clarity or difference, like save. And so now we've done the prep work, right? The app is there, studio is there. Now we can start doing some fun things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this to the one I'm going to do is, initially I said the now function. So I'll just call this as now. Now let's talk about now. One of the things is, a great place is I'm going to go and put some labels in, and we can actually start to see how all you can play with the now function. So let me come over here, and I'm going to change the text to just now. Open brackets, close brackets. And I'll make that a little bit bigger so you can see that. And right out of the box, now is pretty cool because what it does is it takes the timestamp that you have where you're located. So this is, I'm located in the East Coast of United States. So this is my time zone over there, Eastern Standard Time, and it picks up that over there, my date and my time right there. So the same thing will happen for you. Wherever you're located, it picks up that timestamp over there. But along with the just this thing, the now function over here, what you can do is inside, I always call it as the inside and the outside. So what I mean by inside first is, if I were to say go ahead and put that into a text function, so there's text, inside text there's now, after now if I just put in a comma, I suddenly get a whole bunch of these options over there. So let's look at that. The date format, if I go with a long date, now you see how the format changed? It was numerical, but now I actually get the date. It's Wednesday, April 22. It changes the format over there. Besides the date, you can also get date and time. So watch this. Now I'm getting a full spectrum of the date. I mean the date, the day of the week, and the time over here. So you get to really do a lot over here. What I can also do is I can actually see, I can even change it to time. So if I don't want anything to do with date, I want to do it with just time, then this is what helps. I'll actually be, the next thing that I'm going to show you is I'll be doing a lot more only on time, specifically with hours, but I'll show you that in a few minutes. So this is basically to what I call as the inside, like inside the text function. This is how I'm able to leverage now. But check this out. What I can do outside is I'm going to change text, and now I can go ahead and leverage other things. So what I can do is I can do min or minutes. Now it tells me at this point in time it is on the 5th minute of the hour. So if it was on the 10th minute of the hour or on the 55th minute of the hour, this is what it would show you over there. Same thing which is with hour as well. So if I go and change hour, it says this is the 11th hour of the day. It could be the 13th hour, it could be the 15th hour, but right now while I'm demoing it, it's on the 11th hour of the day. Same thing is on day. If I just do day, DAY, it tells me that this is the 22nd day of the month. So it really helps, you know, if you put now inside a text function, then you get all these formats that I showed you. But if you put a now outside, and then outside you put in day, minutes, hours, it even shows you that. So the now function is really powerful because it'll help you not just capturing timestamps, but it also helps you with that intro. And let me tell you what I mean by intro is, you yourself may have noticed that there's a bunch of apps out there, non-power apps as well. Any of your regular apps that you must be using, all kinds of technology apps over there. Heck, anything from your home security system apps to any of your financial services apps. One of the things you may have noticed is when you log into the app or when you open up the app, it'll say, hey, good morning, Daniel, or good afternoon, Daniel, or good evening, Daniel. And when I looked at that, I was like, how is those apps knowing exactly what time of the day it is to tell me that morning, afternoon, or evening? And then it just occurred to me that, hey, I can do the exact same thing on Power Apps over here using the now function. So let me actually show you how I'm going to do that. What I came up with is I was using the now function, but instead of day, I'm going to use hour. So right now it tells me it is the 11th hour of the day, which means it is 11 a.m. Now that immediately helps me understand a.m. means good morning. So watch this. Now as I write up this formula, you're going to understand how I'm doing this. So I'm going to use the if function, and inside if I'm going to use the hour section of now. So watch what I'm typing over here. I'm going to do if, and I'm going to say that if the hour of now, and inside now I'm going to put in its own brackets, if that is less than 12, then call that as good morning. Let's put that, okay? Basically, if it is anywhere less than 12, which means if it's not in the in the afternoon, if it's in the AM times, say good morning, all right? But let's go and continue with our if function. So I'm going to say now if the hour of now, close that, if it is greater than 12, and I'm putting a condition, but I won't put in the 2 ampersands over there, and if the hour again is of now is less than, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that as say 21, all right? I'm going to say 21. 21 can also is also 9 o'clock at night. Now the way I'm saying is basically if it is anywhere between actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that from 12 o'clock, and I'm going to put that to say 5. I want to do 5 o'clock. 5 plus 12 is 17, so I'm going to do that way, 17. So if it is from 12 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock in the evening, then I'm going to call that condition as good afternoon. Next condition, and what I could do actually is make this look a little bit more nicer in the format. Change that over here, make that for morning, change this one for afternoon. Let me make this a little bigger. And so I can now actually do a lot of copying and pasting. So I will, just as a recap, we've already taken care of the morning, and I'm using the hour. For the morning is anything which is less than 12 in the afternoon, it's morning. Anything which is now from 12 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon to 17, which is 5 in the evening, I'm going to classify that as afternoon. Now, if I'm going to say it is greater than 17, which is 15, and it is less than, let's say, I want to do 20, which is 8 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to call that as good evening. And then finally everything after or greater than 20, I'll say good night. Alright, next from here. And hopefully I've done everything correct. We've got a error somewhere. It's expected 4. So let's just double check to see what I made. Okay, I already caught my mistakes. I was missing some double brackets. Let's take care of that one. Took care of this one, and I'm good. So right now it has already caught my timestamp, which means it knows that it is it's 11. Because let me actually drop that back again because I just updated it. Came back over here. Go ahead and increase that text to say again 40. And right now my time over here, now OW, come on now, it's 11 a.m. so it's still morning. That's why it is saying good morning. If it was past 12 noon, and I can actually not just make it past 12, I could even do it greater than and equal, because you can see there's this option over there. If it even hit 12, then it would tell me afternoon, and it would do that right up till 5 in the evening. But if it was past 5, then it becomes evening, and then if it is from 5 all the way to 8, that's evening. Anything past 8, it becomes good night. This really comes in handy for your apps, especially on the opening of the header of the app. Depending on what time of the day is when the user comes in, it'll tell them, hey, good morning, Daniel, or good evening, good afternoon, Daniel, good evening, good night. Really comes in handy over there. All right, so that was the first part over here, which is using the now function. And in the now function, I was showing you how we can make it a little bit more impersonable, saying things like good morning, good afternoon, good evening. All right, so the next section we're going to talk about is the opacity. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and open up a new screen. I'll just change that to opacity. Now, when I do that, I need to go ahead and get us an image. I'll get media. And in the media, I think I already have, let me grab some pictures of mine. So what I have over here is my own logo. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in. I just call that as CFCS logo. Got that in, and I'm going to now get let me see, double checking, yep, an image. I'm going to drop an image. I'm going to fill that image up all the way. I'm going to name that as CFCS. So here's what it is. All right, went ahead and got the image. Now what you see over here in the right in its opacity is actually called transparency. So in the transparency, right, it really helps in from your company logos, because you want to have your background as your company logo, especially in the apps over there. But you can't do it this way because it's too dark. It can actually get in the way of some things. It could confuse people. It could distract people. So the great thing, which is again a hidden gem over here, is on the right, you see there's this properties of the image. It's called transparency. And what happens is you need to put that as a percent, and usually percent is 2-digit levels. So if over here I want to say it's at 50%, you can't put in 50 because that doesn't work. What you do have to do is you put a 0.50, and now it helps. So I still think 0.5 or 50% is too much. I'm going to actually go down to 75, and that looks a lot better, because right now on top of that I can actually put in some more controls, but at the back of my app over there in the screen I actually have my company logo, so it just makes it a little bit more nicer. So that was the second one over there. I call it opacity because that's the technical term, but in the app it's called transparency. All right, so that's the second one. Now let's jump to the confirm exit over there. Now in the confirm exit, it's actually not at the screen level, but it's at the app level. So over here, and I want to actually demonstrate this one, so let me go and do some saving, and we'll open up the app. So first thing is let's actually do quick testing. All right, so I've got this app which I just created over here. I'm gonna go ahead and open the app, and in the app, well actually first let me go back to the app because I need to show you an example. So in the app over here, I'm going to create a new screen. I'm going to call that as transparency. Okay, I think I spelled that right. Wait, whatever. Here I'm going to go ahead and now just put in a button. Make it nice and big. Change the text. Now in the button, what I want to do is put in the exit function. All right, just on select. And you've seen me talk about the exits before, so I'm not going to emphasize too much on that. In a nutshell, what the exit does is it takes me out of the app. Now I'll give you a little tidbit over here. There's two types of exits. This exit will just take you out of the app, but you still stay inside Power Apps. But if I did exit and true, then that will even kick me outside the Power Apps. This comes in really handy because if you've got just one device like a tablet, and you want multiple people to log in and out, say like a timesheet app over there, this exit inside the brackets true comes in really handy, because then somebody goes ahead and adds their timesheet, it kicks them out of the apps. Then you can go ahead and log in. The next person can actually log in, and then that way you know who it is. So just a little tidbit over there, right? I don't know, for this I'm going to keep that as exit over here. Save, and just to make sure that this is the first screen I see, again for the sake of this demo, I'll do that. I'll go ahead and click on save. I'll go ahead and hit publish, so it publishes. We'll come back over here, and I'm just going to refresh it a few times just so I can make sure I see that button. Usually for me, especially when I'm doing testing and building it, 3 refreshes is the magic number. So now when I click on button, it kicks me out of the app over there, all right, which is fine. I'm still in Power Apps over here. But what if you were in the process of saving some information over there, or if you wanted to view some information? Basically, you needed a process to tell you that, hey, you're getting out of the app. Are you sure? That exit message is a huge deal, especially when you're making a complicated app which needs either data added or needs some kind of verification. Fortunately, that option is available, and it's out of the box. So what I have over here is I'm selecting on app. I'm not selecting any screen. I'm selecting on app. But on the right, you've got these 2 fantastic options. It's called confirm exit and confirm exit message. So let me show you both of them. First, we're going to go ahead and turn on the confirm exit. No other formulas needed. You just turn on the confirm exit. Second is in the confirm exit message, I'm just going to say, are you sure? And I do that. Okay, so now let me go ahead and hit save, and I'll just put in some text over here so I can know what change I made. I'll just say v1.o. That way, until and unless I see this, I know that this is the updated version of the app. I'm going to hit save. Publishing. Alright, so now let me come back over here to the testing. And that's why you see I put that version over here, because I know that I'm not seeing the updated version of the app. Oh, alright, so now I do that, okay? So remember, before when I hit the button which had the exit, it just took me out of the app. Now when I hit button, you get this pop-up, and you get the text that says, are you sure? So you get this exit confirmation, which is huge, especially when you're building those apps which need all that data over there. So this is truly a key as a hidden gem, because if you're not already using it, I highly recommend putting this in all your apps over there, because when the time comes to close, you will be able to get that. Now, as a workaround, you've also seen my videos as a pop-up message. That's a great workaround as well. But this is another one of those scenarios where you have the pop-up message and you check and recheck kind of the whole trust but verify thing. This is what helps over there. Now you also notice that right here it is the same text that I did, so it's giving you the flexibility to add that message over there as well. And it is literally that message, because if I come back over here and I change that right on the app level, are you sure? Make sure this is what you want to do. And I'll take that out. Same thing, I'll just change that to a version so I know this is the new version. Save. And publish. Come back in the testing place. Many of these windows open. Click on that. Not the new version, so let me refresh that. That's the one. So I'm going to hit submit, and there you go. The new text comes up. Make sure this is what you want to do. So remember that this is a really great hidden message, is because it does the confirm exit over there, but it also gives you flexibility to go and change the text. All right, so that's that one. Now let's go ahead and talk about the timer. So the timer is a couple of interesting things, and the timer is kind of not used a whole lot for the everyday business apps that I've seen, but there are some really functionalities available, and I'm going to show you one of those functionalities, because that will immediately get you start thinking about, that this timer one, I can actually put that in my business apps. And a great scenario is when an app opens up, you may want to tell the end user for that 5 seconds or so that, hey, this is a new change that's happened in the app, so watch out for that. Or some update that's happening in the company. Like if this is a company portal type of an app where people are going and doing some everyday things over there, maybe you may have a COVID-19 type of a message in that app, which you want your users to see. And that this in the intro for that 5 or 10 seconds, you can put that message over there. Basically, any important message which you want your users to see, you can use the timer function for a screen to show up for a short period of time, and then it'll slide away. That's exactly what I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so let's come over here. I'm going to come back over there, and I'm going to create a new screen, and I'll move that screen to the top. I'll call this one timer, and for now I'm just moving this to the top. I know you could go ahead and in the opening right here you can put the default screen. I know I could do that, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just doing this timer thing over here. Okay, so I come over there on the input, scroll to the bottom, and I grab our timer. Right, make it nice and big, added some text to it so it's easy for everybody to see. What I'm going to do is, by default, it is 60, which is 60 seconds. That's 1 minute. So by default, it's 1 minute. So you might be thinking, wait, 60,000 seconds, 1 minute, what are you talking about? I'll show you. And come over here to the label. I'm going to grab a label, and I'll make that also a little big so you can see all of it. And I'm going to change this one's text to the actual value I'm getting from the timer. Now remember, you want to get the timer one value. You don't want to get the text. You want to get the timer one value, right? Because by default now it is 0. So if I came over here and I'm going to click on it, for every 1 second you get 1,000. And if you don't believe me, I'll actually prove it to you. Right now its duration is 60,000, which is 60 seconds. If I just change that to say 1,000, it should let me do that. If I come here, click on that, see, it stopped. For 1 second it gave me 1,000. So remember, this is how its correlation is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this timer for the first, say, 5 seconds. But to get that 5 seconds, I need to put the duration as 5,000. So it's kind of making sense now why you need to know that. Alright, so just as a test, I come over here, click on it. It's going to keep running, keep running. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and bam, I'll have 5,000 over there. Alright, so that's basically, I've set a limit over there. Next thing I'm going to do is on the timer, right on the app itself, we basically over here, sorry, on that screen, I'm going to come over here on visible, and I'm going to set a variable, and I'm going to say timer start variable, and I'm going to set that to true. Right, perfect. Next thing, then after that, the control, click on that, and it has a couple of things. It has the timer start, it has the timer end. But what I'm going to do is on the two things. First, on the timer, I'm going to automatically start it, and on the auto start, I'm going to just make sure I've got that right over here. Auto start. The auto start is set for false. I'm going to set that as the timer start variable. So what happens is when the screen comes up, or when the app opens, that variable is by default set to true, and we are assigning the variable over here. What we are doing is that when the app opens up, this timer is going to automatically kick off. Because right now, if you notice, when I was showing you the demo, I had to actually go and click on it. I don't have to do that now. When the app opens up, the timer automatically kicks off. It sets the variable of the variable to true, and then now I put that variable over here. So it's kind of dynamic. The second thing that I'm going to do is on the timer end, I'm going to do two things. On timer end, I'm going to set the timer start variable to false. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to navigate. I'm going to navigate to, say I'll navigate to transparency. Anywhere else you want to go, okay? And I'll just close it. So, just as a recap, what we did is we went ahead and set up the timer over there. We set the timer to 5,000, which is basically 5 seconds. So the duration is only going to run for 5 seconds. But what we've also done is we put that as the opening page, so that when the page opens up, it's going to wait there for 5 seconds. And then after that, it's going to navigate to any other page. This is the importance of having that temporary screen that shows up and then automatically goes to the main screen. So let me just come over here. And we can go to the app and we can actually test it. It may not automatically refresh, but it did. And it's showing you what's going on, right? That first 5 seconds happened, and then it jumped over to the main screen. That is basically how you're going to get that's your temporary page. And I put that in for 5 seconds. You can put that in as long as you want. But that will be your temporary page to show that important message in your app. Some changes happen, or some important message that your end users needs to see. This is a great way to show it, and then it automatically redirects to that main page or screen, whichever you have. So let me refresh that. When it opens up over here, the timer page came up. It stayed there for 5 seconds. That's because of the timer, and I'm showing that to you. And then it redirects over here. So that's a very important reason for the timer. And you will see the timer used for a lot of gaming apps, and it's all fun and great. But this is a great business need for that, is using that timer. All right? Finally, now I've shown you 4 things. I'm going to jump to the 5th one, and then that's using the sine and cosine. So let's go back into the app over here, and I'm going to create a new screen. And the good thing about this is that sine and cosine is it's building using that timer app over here. So let me come and give you an example. So in here, I'm also going to go ahead and add another timer, because we're going to build on the timer section over here. So I'm going to coming in. Now in the timer, let me just have that. Also, let me go ahead and put in a nice happy face icon. There you go, happy face, right? An emoji. So we put this over here. I'll also go ahead and get this person up here, make it a little bit bigger, so you can basically see all the data going on. All right, so right now in Power Apps out of the box, there's quite a few trigonometric functions. There's sine, cosine, and then you can keep using those over there. What I want to do is I'm going to leverage the sine and cosine to actually make this icon move. And you will notice that a lot of people who made these gaming icons, gaming apps over there, and it's going through some different variations of paths which are going in curves and whatnot. This is how they're using it. They're using this trigonometric function over here. So as an example, let's just come to using this, and we go and work on the x. So if you know how trigonometric functions work, it's sine, cosine, and it uses a degree variable called theta, Theta. But we don't have degree variable. Our theta is actually going to be the timer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in sine, and inside sine I'm going to put in my timer 2. Because my timer 2, which is this timer in that screen, that is what's going to be my theta. And remember, it's timer 2 value, not the text, timer 2 value over here. All right. So right now, when I go and just click on this, you may not see a whole lot, but I'll come over here and click on it. And if you notice very closely, it's just moving back and forth a little bit. Let me zoom in so you can actually get a better look at it. See, it's just moving back and forth a little bit. Not very exciting, but what I'll do is I'll actually make that a little bit more fun. But if you notice, the beauty of it is I don't have to do anything fancy to make that just go back and forth. So the fact that I'm just able to use sine function and the timer, I'm already able to make that functionality of an icon go back and forth. So this should already start giving you some ideas that where else can I use this functionality. Maybe you don't want to use these GIFs to keep circling around when a change is being made, when a patch function is being saved. You could just pop something else out and just go back and forth, letting the user know something's happening. You can do that on your own instead of getting a GIF function. And I want to kind of show you, I just wanted to show this to you because I know now that you've seen it, you've got a whole bunch of ideas in your mind, and you can leverage that. But what I'll do is I'll actually add a little bit more to this, I'm going to come over here, and first I'll just add, say, 5 times. Let's see how much that moves. So come back over here. So there's more activity, not a whole lot. Let's just bump that up to almost 1,000 times. I'm going to change that 5 to 5,000, and I bet you now we'll see more activity. So it's almost going away, but it's coming back. Let's actually slow that down a little bit. It's going a little crazy. I'm going to bring that to 500. 500 should be, equally good. Okay, now we're seeing some activity over here. Another thing you can do is you can actually now start playing around with the formula. So from 5, I'm going to do 500, just do adding. So it brought that a little bit on the X side over here. And now I can do this. So see, it's pretty neat. But let's not stop over here. I'm going to come and grab this one, and I'm going to get this formula because it's on the X. So if I were to add this on the Y, what happens? Let's take a look. So it went and now changed the angle, because remember it was only going horizontally, but now since I added that exact same formula of 2 sine functions, I put it on the X, I also put it on the Y. What happened over here changed that to that angle, so it's going this way, which is pretty neat. Let me show you this other really neat trick. For either the X or the Y, I'm just going to stick with Y because that's where I am. If you change the sine to cosine, watch what happens. I do that, and now it is going in a big circle. That is how I've been getting all these circles. So if you've seen one of my other apps which I've done, the solar system app, and you were noticing, hey, how did Daniel get all those planets to, revolve around the Earth? This is exactly how I did it. I went ahead and used the sine and the cosine, and this is how I was able to do it. And then you can go ahead and manipulate the formula a little bit. Go back over here to the icon. 500 was maybe too much. Let me go back to just 100. Same thing on the Y. Change that to the Y. Change that to 100 over here. And now if I go and play it, you'll see that it kind of stays over there in that vicinity. Maybe I messed something up. Let's see. Let's just take that out. Maybe I wasn't consistent enough. We'll see. Maybe that 100 was too much. We'll see. Either way, you get the hang of it. Now, last thing I want to show you is that in the sine and cosine, you notice that the speed was too much. That's because when I come over here, I've taken the full timer value. You can slow things down, or you can speed things up by multiplying it over here. So I can do a multiplication over here, or in my case, I'm just going to do a division. Let me divide that by 2. Same thing on the X as well. Let me divide that by 2. And that's the trick to slow it down. If you want to speed it up, do a multiply, but do it inside the brackets of the sine and cosine. So now if I come over here and do that, you'll actually notice that it's running a little slower. See that? It's slower. So what I'll do is I'll actually show you my solar system one over here. So this is the app that I was talking about. I've gone ahead and now build this app, and it is going around. So if you notice that the Mercury over here is actually at a good pace, but if I go ahead and add Venus and Earth, it is a little bit slower. So the way I was able to do that is I was able to, first if I click on it, you will see its X and Y. I was able to first do a lot of other things. This formula over here is just to make sure it always stays consistent in here. But as you can see, I've been doing some multiplication. 0.25 is the same as dividing it by 4, and that's what slows it down. If I were to go ahead and click on Mercury, you will see that it doesn't have anything over there, which is why it's running so fast. So that's the magic that I wanted to show you, that little trick of how I can not just make it go round, but how to make it go faster and slower over here. So all in all, these were the 5 things that we talked about. Just as a recap, we did the now function over here, and the now function, great example, was to get that good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We added the transparency over here, or the opacity. That's the way I was able. I can always put in the company logo in the back, so you can see your company app over there, see the logo, but then all the other controls don't get the logo doesn't get distracted when you're working on those controls. Confirm exit was a great one, right? Because now 2 things I can do. I can just do the trust but verify that if somebody's closing the app, it'll ask you, are you sure you want to do this? And you can put in your own customized message over there. The timer control was a great example of how I was able to, when the app opens up, have a temporary screen available over there. Keep it for how long you want, either 5 seconds, 10 seconds, just change the value on the timer based on the thousands. And then it can automatically go to another screen. And then finally, I show you that fun way to use the trigonometric functions, which is sine and cosine, to get nice circular shapes over there, or you can just start tweaking that formula to get any variations of any shapes, of any movement that you want over there. So these are the 5 hidden gems that I talked about. Remember, this is the 10th video, so woohoo! We got 10 videos over there, and these are only 10, and I'm sure I'll be doing a whole bunch more. So as always, keep power apping.